Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 10 of the Innate Domain podcast. This is a very special episode today because we have our very first guest on the show, and it is Calip. For everyone, Caitlin, for everyone that doesn't know who you are, if you would just give a brief introduction to the show, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Calip. I am actually Nicholas's middle sister. We're just a couple years apart. I am actually a marketing manager right now for a small business in San Diego. The company's name is Sage Tree. My life, I still live in Schaumburg, which is something. I lived in California for a handful of, no, I lied, like 2 years, and then COVID happened, so now I'm back here in the burbs. And what do I do a lot? I love reading, like my brother. There's that, but mainly my job is remote and marketing right now. So I literally wake up, I go to the gym, and I sit at the gym and I do my work because it's my remote life.
Can I say
that's the gist?
That when you said COVID, you sounded extremely Canadian.
COVID.
Interesting. A lot of people say I kind of sound like a Valley girl still. I don't know if that's...
It's possible.
To be honest, I don't even know what a Valley girl is, so I wouldn't be able to compare you to.
That's great. Tommy, you know what it is?
Okay, so
I know what a Valley girl is.
Based off of what you said that you're currently a marketing manager. So I know this, but did you go to school for that? Like, how did you get to the position that you're in now?
So I had a great run in school. We're gonna start from the beginning because this is actually something that I would love to let everybody know that this is what they should do, because expensive world that we live in right now.
Yep.
So I actually was homeschooled senior year because I lived in California. Came home, graduated with Schaumburg High School. I was there for 2 weeks, and then I was able to get residency in California. So if you're a resident there, your community college is free. Should be like that everywhere, if I'm being quite honest with you. So I took that to my advantage. Did my 2 years at Moore Park College. COVID hit, so I ended up doing a lot of it back in Illinois anyways. Graduated from there. And then I started working at Starbucks once I moved back home. And we all know that Starbucks pays for your school. So we finished it out there. And now we have $0 in debt. So we went to graduate in Arizona, and I met people that I guess I had the same class with them. Didn't know, but it was cool. And yeah, that's my education.
So your degree is in marketing? You have a bachelor's in marketing?
My degree is in business communications.
Okay. Gotcha.
Marketing is just the little part that I was like, okay, I'm going to stick with this. Because communications and marketing go hand in hand. Did you learn marketing?
Did you learn marketing from the degree as well? Okay.
Yeah, so you had to take a handful of marketing classes, and then you had to also take a handful of communication stuff, because obviously communication goes hand in hand with marketing. I mean, it's literally communication just on a different platform. So, yeah.
So based off of that and getting the degree and like the classes and stuff that you took to get a business communications degree, how much of that knowledge that you learned translates over to the real world?
Does not. Okay, actually, I have let me start with something funny. So this actually just came up literally, I think 2 days ago while I was working. So in my morning huddle meeting, we were talking about, there was it's called My First Million. It's a YouTube video, actually. I think it's a whole channel. But pretty much what they're saying is, like, you go into copywriting when it comes to a business, and you want to be one sentence, short and sweet. But when you're in college, they're like 6 pages. You have to have a thesis, and then you have to do this, and then you have to do that, and then you get to the point in your third paragraph. But when it comes to marketing, like, people's attention spans are like 3 to 5 seconds. You don't get them, they're not going to read your whole thesis, unfortunately. So
yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of it, I think it does create that foundation for you, for sure. But I'm going to be quite honest, I learned most of the stuff that I know now in marketing in the real world job that I have, which is unfortunate to tell people, because obviously, you spend so much time in school and you do all that. But again, if I didn't have my education, I wouldn't be able to have that internship where I had that job kind of already set in stone. For those 3 months, I was an intern with the job that I have now. I was interning there. After the 3 months, I was able to showcase what I was doing. And now I literally get paid to just learn and do more content for everybody.
What do you think are some of the most valuable skills you've learned with Sage Tree that you didn't learn in college?
See, it's kind of the same concept when people think, I like to say, what do they call those people? What are the code, the code people?
Nick.
Developers?
Developers. You can learn all of, the basic coding stuff that you need to do, but when it comes to getting a job for coding, you need a portfolio. You need to show them what code you have written and all that stuff. So honestly, that's the biggest skill that Sage Tree has brought to me, just opening up my portfolio and giving me that opportunity to talk with other clients that I wouldn't have spoken with in school or in just finding them in my life.
Yeah. See,
so truthfully, I think learning from somebody first in the real world is definitely something I would highly recommend. It's so hard to get internships, but I always tell people handshake. I don't know if that's a overall thing for a lot of people, but Arizona State University uses it, and that's how I got my internship. So if you look up the app Handshake, try it out, see what you can find, because I recommend that. That's how I found my internship.
See, it's crazy that you say that too, because it is almost a paradoxical situation in life where you are going to be 100% more well-equipped to do anything if you have hands-on experience with it, but you can't get that hands-on experience without a college degree.
Well, that's the crazy
Unless
thing.
it's either...
I look at Handshake, and you'll be like, "Oh, data science intern," and it'll say, "Okay, but you need 4 years of experience in data." And it's like, how am I supposed to? How is anyone supposed to get an internship if they're expecting 2 to 4 years of experience, or maybe even they need a bachelor's degree to start off with as well? So I think it's really skewed. So, and I do think yes, it's a good idea to of course go to school and get a degree, and learning more and actually doing your portfolio without a degree is smart, but unfortunately getting into the role as a professional, you're going to need a degree just because people are just going to overlook you, especially with the amount of AI that goes into looking over resumes now. Because if they don't see you have a degree, the AI is literally just going to flag it and put it in the trash. So that's the tough thing about going to school. So realistically, I think it was a good thing that obviously I'm kind of following the same route as you when working for Starbucks, getting school done through Starbucks, but trying to get school done as efficiently and cost effective as possible so that you can get it done and have that degree without really coming out of school with however much amount of debt.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can.
We can hear. Yep.
Okay, great. Something also that's kind of, because I'm gonna touch on that a little bit, just because people think about it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, so many jobs, they pay for your school, they do this. That's great, right? We're not going to be in any debt. But let's talk about the realistic side of it, because I know for a fact that myself working at Starbucks, it was not something that I enjoyed. But you have to look past that and obviously be like, okay, I'm not going to be in debt. But for those people who literally don't have those jobs handy to them, that's kind of another conversation that we should have, because a lot of people can't just, work at Starbucks. People don't work at Starbucks or McDonald's. I know they're paying for your school, but think about it realistically. The people who aren't going to go work 25 hours a week at Starbucks to pay for their school. On top of it, we're not going to talk about the fact that it takes out of your paycheck for the taxes for school so you don't get paid, which is another problem when you're still trying to be a full-time student, make your money, get your job, be an intern, all that stuff. And on top of it, work at least 25 hours. So, again, it's not a realistic thing, but it's definitely the most efficient way to do it, and I would recommend it that way. If you don't have school, I just highly recommend looking into a different industry. Some of the industries, you need education, which is a lot of the tech stuff now, but a lot of industries also don't need it, you know, and I think people kind of try and fast track the fact like, okay, yeah, digital this or IT this or tech this, like I can do it because it's the new thing and I can make a lot of money. But a lot of people don't really think that far into it. It's like, well, can you actually do it? Can you pay for it? All that kind of stuff.
And they're also going to make you get a degree at some point anyways, even if you get into that
that realm.
You know,
which is fine. Let them pay
role.
for it. Let them pay for it, you know?
Yeah. So, like, you might as well get it done for, I don't know, it really depends on how you would like to do it, because if you can get a job early on and get an internship and get in, maybe that is your route in, and then, that, you know, having them pay for it. It's just, like, kind of all what ifs in a way. Okay, I'm going to reroute back towards your role as, like, being a marketing manager. So, when it comes to social media and stuff, obviously metrics are, like, a huge thing. Likes, followers, comments, stuff like that. So, when you're looking for, or like I guess you take in clients, when you look at your clients, you know, social medias and metrics, what are the most important metrics that you take and you have to look at from them? And then, like, how does that determine if they are performing well or not?
So, I mean, that's kind of a two-parter. So the client, for instance, most of the time, if they're coming to me, they don't really have metrics, or their metrics aren't really that good, and there's really nothing for me to look at. When I do my social media personally for my specific clients, the metrics that I look at for my content, mainly, it depends. If we're talking social media, right? Not websites or anything. Yes. Talking social media. Main thing, first off, I think is the basic, and everyone knows that it's like, not much of a conversion rate. Obviously, look at your impressions. That would be the first thing that I recommend looking at when you post something, because if you are getting impressions at a quick rate, clearly they like the video. People, the algorithm or the people, either one, they're going to like it. If you notice that you're posting and it's just kind of steady impressions and it's not really doing anything, okay, maybe you need to do a different video. So that's the first step that I highly recommend into telling, like, fishing out the content that works or it doesn't. Impressions is a big thing. Nowadays, since short form content is such a huge thing, but like I said earlier, people's attention spans are literally 3 to 5 seconds. I look at, like, the length of how long people are watching the videos. That's a huge thing. Again, it kind of just gives you, all these metrics just give you an eyeball. It's like A/B testing. Literally that's all it is. Everything that you post on social media, everything can be tweaked, everything can be changed, but it's just what works in the algorithm this day. So, truthfully, you look at all the metrics, and you kind of, depending if they're going up, then you're like, okay, maybe I'll keep doing this for my other posts. And if this isn't working, then you'll kind of, okay, maybe I need to take it out.
Gotcha.
Besides TikTok,
but that's my step.
Besides TikTok, where do you think you see the most genuine reach with social media? Because obviously TikTok's up there. It gets a lot of genuine reach. But I feel like no other social media really has the reach that TikTok does.
I agree. But again, TikTok's algorithm is a little bit more forgiving than Instagram, Twitter, X, my bad.
I still call it Twitter.
Used to that. And like LinkedIn is obviously more for like B2B stuff, businesses. But TikTok, obviously, I'm going to be quite honest with you. All of my clients right now, none of us are on TikTok. None of my clients are on TikTok right now. That's something that I am kind of pushing for, but it depends on obviously the niche that you're in. Some of my clients, one is like the YMCA of San Diego. Another one is like a Second Amendment organization. So they're completely different things. So you have to kind of figure out where your people are. So let's say, for instance, you know, the YMCA is mainly families. They're most likely going to be on Facebook. Yeah. You know, the moms, the dads, like that kind of stuff. Depends on where your audience is. That's where I recommend personally just putting yourself onto. The reach itself is really about algorithms and if they like you. It's kind of unfortunate, but put good content out there, and that's what I tell people. If you put good stuff that people actually want to watch, it's gonna go crazy. I don't know why. You might think it's so stupid, but for some reason, it's gonna go crazy. Like the "What Up, Brother" thing. Like I still don't know what that is.
Hello, brother. Tuesday.
Sketch. That's funny. So, based off of like what you've learned and like the ways you post things for your clients and stuff on Instagram, does that kind of formulate your own thought process when it comes to trying to get conversion rates on like your own personal accounts, or is it a little bit different?
See, I think here's my thing. So with my personal Instagram account, I haven't, or like my social media, I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm selling something or I'm trying to get that conversion rate. So right now, I mean, it's literally like my life and how I want to help people and what I went through. And if they like it, they like it. That's fantastic. As of right now, that's what I'm doing. So it's completely different versus like when I'm looking at the stuff for my client, I know 100% I have to have a call to action at the bottom of every single post to either go like, go follow, go to this website, go to this blog post, something, you know, versus my stuff. It's like, hey, if you like me, great. Come check out my profile.
You don't think think it's worth it to do it for the ad revenue though?
I'm sorry, go one more time.
You don't think it's worth it just to like try to bring in the ad revenue to really use those social media marketing skills?
100%. It definitely is. And that is the internal conflict I definitely have when I put my posts out there. I mean, certain posts are obviously for, you know, businesses or products or whatever. So that's when my marketing side comes in, like my marketing manager side comes in. But a lot of the time, that's why I do what I do on my personal, is because everyone's different and everyone tries to be the same on social media. And I'm not trying to do that. Like, you see all those UGC stuff, like user generated content now is a huge thing. People are getting paid thousands of dollars a month to, you know, make product videos and do all that stuff, which is great. But it's like, where's that real human being that I actually is like, oh, she's funny. Like she's an average person. I like her life. You know, I admire the way that she's real. That's kind of the vibe that I want to go for.
And she's not selling something.
Is that like the TikTok? Is that like the TikTok shop stuff? Like that's what you're talking about? Like the
no, everything. It's
stuff?
Actually UGC. I would say I see it a lot more on Instagram. That's most of the stuff. Like, for instance, if you see this is, I'm going to give you a little tip. So when you see the posts that are like, don't know whatever, check the caption. Everything that says check the caption and it's 5 seconds long, it's just trying to get you to stay and rerun the video and rerun the video and rerun the video and read the caption. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
So I personally don't, like, for myself, I wouldn't do one of those videos on my social because it's just something like, what value are you providing to me? You just want me to check your caption so you get more views on that. You know, it's just, it doesn't build that reliability factor and that authority factor that people want when they like look up to a business or they look up to somebody. You know, they want that extra little something.
Yeah. It's funny because it actually it reminds me of a quote that I heard, and it was like, if you wouldn't watch the post, if you wouldn't watch the content that you post, don't post it. So it's like, that's kind of how I've tried to formulate my content now is, you know, recently, or I would say a lot last year, I would post a lot of short form, just like me working out videos with like a quote on it that would try and motivate you. And it's like, if I really think about it, I don't really ever scroll on Instagram to begin with. So like, I'm not watching reels, so posting on Instagram doesn't really make sense for me to begin with. Yeah, you literally told me you don't like
scrolling.
But it's also like, I don't, if I see a video that's 2 seconds long and I know it's going to be that, I'm just going to walk right, like swipe right past it, for the fact, like, I don't really find any motivation or discipline. Like, yes, I'm putting it out for people that might find the motivation or discipline into it, but that's how I've been trying to formulate my content because, like you said, you are trying to help people as well. And I feel like most of the stuff that I want to put out is trying to either provide information to people or, you know, maybe like help them formulate a concept that they might have not understood previously. So I kind of understand like how you wouldn't want to do that as well, because I follow that quote. Like, if I'm not going to watch the content that I'm posting, I'm not going to try and post
also, it goes hand in hand with if you don't enjoy the content that you're making, you probably shouldn't be making it. You know, if you wouldn't enjoy sitting here and editing your podcast videos into reels, like, you wouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So people need to realize that when it comes to social media, it's so vast, but you are able to pinpoint exactly where you fit in and where you can succeed, because it's endless. There's so many things, you know, there's going to be a new freaking app probably tomorrow. You know, there's AI coming out. I'm probably going to, you know, there's like Kylie Jenner's, I think she has an AI, or no, maybe it's Kendall Jenner. I think she has an AI Instagram account or something. Like, it's not her, but like they made it. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But again, what are you going to do?
I have a question that I kind of want to ask that's more so geared toward both of you. I want to hear both your responses on it. So, obviously, you guys share a dad. Your dad has climbed the corporate ladder.
Corporate.
He was a VP at Vision Tech. Now he's a VP at Warmies. So he's been through the corporate ladder. How long do each of you think you want to stay within the corporate ladder before you go off and start your own business? I mean, obviously, I saw on your LinkedIn, Caitlin, that you want to be a successful business owner and you're gathering skills to do that. So how long do you think you're going to be gathering those skills for before you take the leap and start your own business?
Oh, I'm ready. I mean, financially? Hell nah. Hell nah. Were you telling me I can start my business and get the hell out of the Yes, tomorrow. 100%. 100%. I think we all know that there are, you know, nuances and whatnot. But for the most part, I mean, like literally almost every single day, I'm like, oh, I'm going to open a coffee shop here. Because Schaumburg has no coffee. Yeah, we know. Everyone doesn't like the coffee shops here. It's either Starbucks or Green Joe. Got it. I go to Green Joe every day. So that's just a me thing. Go ahead, Nicholas. You answer.
What does your timeline look like, though? Like, how realistically, how long do you think it'll be before you could start your own business?
Realistically, who likes thinking realistically? If I'm gonna be completely realistic, I'm 22, okay, I'm 22 years old. Realistic by 30. Caitlin thinking about it being me.
25.
25, 26.
23.
25, 26. That's what I want to do.
I think you could do it by 25,
well,
26.
the thing, so again, my niche that I'm in and my job I'm again so appreciative, and I am at a completely, like when people try and say, oh, you do this and then you go here and then you go here and then you just climb the ladder and it's the same for everybody. It's not. And I was completely fortunate to, you know, have that internship and have this job that I have now remote, being able to also focus on my own social media and growing my own self. It's like, I don't know.
It's very, yeah, that is you're 10 steps ahead of most people your
Which
age.
is, you know, I'm very thankful to have that, and I want to tell everybody my story, and like I don't gatekeep. That's not me. You want to know something? I'll tell you. Like I am here for the team. You know, I don't do any of that. Everyone's just trying to succeed at the end of the day. And if you're gonna gatekeep, then clearly you're just a little insecure that people can be better than you, you know? And it's the same conversation with AI. AI is not going to take over your jobs. You have to learn AI, and the people that know AI will take over your jobs.
But what about gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss?
Oh, see, I actually know somebody, and I have a few of those friends. So that's a different conversation for a different day.
All right, let's hear yours, Nick.
That's fun. You know, this is actually interesting that you're asking me a question about
my dad.
You know, starting my own business, because I started reading a book. 2 days ago, and it's called $1 Million Weekend, and it's by Noah Kagan. I think you would absolutely love this book, Tommy, and I think it would actually get you going. It just came out like maybe last month or 2 months ago, but pretty much the idea of the book is to take a few ideas that you have, and this guy's going to teach you some ways that you can go and make your first $1,000 and create your own business. And from the start of this book already, I feel like I've kind of reformulated my mind of how I would go about it, because it talks about how a lot of people wait so long to start their own business because they're scared. Like the fear of like going to ask someone to buy something from them, or they're fearing what people will think of them, or fearing this or fearing that. And he kind of reformulates my mind in the fact that you can just go do this today. You can figure out an idea, figure out a problem that you think about, a problem that you have in your normal, like your daily basis that, you know, correlates with you and resonates with you, and find something that will fix that problem and sell that to people. Because if you have a problem, they probably also have the same problem. So I'm trying to, one, start my own business. Like I texted you yesterday about that random question about the gym, right? And that was formulated because I was reading this book, because it's like, figure out something that people that you know have an issue with, that you also have an issue with, and try and solve that problem for them. So my niche, I guess, would be more towards training people, or, you know, writing programs for people. So I figured that if I take the approach that this book is showing me, and I actually do it, that's the one thing, is actually physically doing what this book is saying, and going out and, you know, being rejected by people, but simply just going out and asking hundreds of people, thousands of people to either purchase programming, or, you know, ask if they like want to be trained or whatever. I think I could probably start my own business within the next year or 2 years, because I think I have enough experience when it comes to lifting and like science-based knowledge when it comes to lifting and bodybuilding and stuff, that people would benefit from it, and I could teach people in a short period of time and get clients and stuff like that. But the one thing that has always held me back is, I feel like, you know, I just told you that I think I have enough knowledge, but then there's like a second me in my brain that's like, you're not smart enough, you can't do this. So that's the one thing that I think is holding me back from, you know, making my own business, to just not, you know, not doing it at all, is that second part of me that's, you know, holding me back, that's saying that you're not smart enough, you're not good enough for this. And that's, I think once I'm able to push past that person, then I'll be able to take my first step into creating my own business, and hopefully, you know, getting it done within and working towards it for the next however many years.
Really fast. Something that you said that kind of reminded me of something. So the book that I'm reading right now is called Stand and Deliver. It's pretty much because one of my lifetime bucket list goals is to do a TED Talk. Okay, so one of my friends was like, "Why don't you, learn about speaking in public?" So in the book, pretty much what you were saying regarding being do I even have enough information? Am I knowledgeable? Should I even go out there and do it? So it kind of ties in with the same thing with public speaking. Besides fear, there's nothing to fear. You're just really, those thoughts in your head are just going and circulating, and you get more scared. The fear is just the fear itself. What I'm trying to say is that, give me a second, I have to formulate what I was trying to say. In the book, what it was saying is that you have to be 100% prepared and knowledgeable in that topic. So you pick out that niche. You don't do exercise in general. You focus on, maybe the posterior chain or your lateral chain, stuff like that. Because a lot of people, when they go into these things, they do it in such a broad aspect that they're like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. You want to start small and pinpoint and have all that knowledge in that area and become an expert, because nobody wants to know somebody that, you know enough. That's why people want those experts. So you want to start that small and then know all the knowledge there, and then you move forward, which I think is a great thing for you to realize, is that in exercise, you already have that knowledge base, and there's so much out there for you to learn that you can become an expert by no time,
Yeah, I mean, you could even take all your knowledge you have now and almost like create your own theories and create your own things that have never really been focused on or done before. Create niche programs that you don't see other people doing because it'll catch people's eye.
That's something too that you also have to think about. It goes hand in hand with social media and life in general. I always tell people it's the same concept of how everyone's like starting a podcast now. Everybody is different. Every person has something different to bring to the table. It's just you have to find the best way that you can show those talents. Like I said, you don't want to do those same videos that people are doing because nobody wants to look at the same video every time. So what I'm trying to say is, like, when it comes to you and training and all that stuff, the reason why people are going to come to you is because it's you. It's because you bring your face, your intellect, everything your knowledge is why people are going to come to you. 100%. And I think a lot of people tend, especially I believe the generation nowadays, that personality and your character takes you so much further than a lot of just like reading books and, hard regular stuff like that. If you don't have emotional intelligence in this world now, you're going to have a problem, especially if you're trying to be in an oversaturated industry. Because, fitness, everyone's trying to do fitness now. And this is personally, too, because, I post fitness content and whatnot. But, again, people are going to choose you because it's you. So don't do the same stuff that everyone's doing. Yeah, I would definitely use those viral sounds, 100%. Like, Red Rum by 21 Savage is a good one. Future just came out with some good ones. I highly recommend using the sounds that people use. But for the most part, you want to keep your stuff to being you, because that's how you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think to formulate a thought that kind of sums up why I'm not like making a decision, I guess, or like, acting on it, is the idea of anxiety costs. So like I just get anxiety thinking about it, but then there's this ideology. It's like the anxiety cost is the more that you think about doing the thing, that times thinking about it could have actually been doing it. So it's like I'm trying to get out of that mindset of like, you're thinking about it, just start it. And I have like people that tell me that I've written programs for that I'm I should do it and stuff, and it's kind of like an imposter syndrome where it's like, okay, maybe these people are just like a small group of people that are just telling me I'm doing well, or they're telling me that it works just like to make me feel better, when in reality like they are my good friends, and I would assume that they wouldn't lie to me. So it's like I would assume that if I gave this to somebody that I didn't really know, they would probably, there's obviously other factors when it comes to training people, nutrition and actually like frequency and consistency of actually, performing what you have to do. But it's just kind of like that basis that, I feel like I have enough to do it. It's just that anxiety cost that's really like kind of holding me back. It's weird.
To fight that anxiety cost, we should all, as soon as we're done recording, go start an LLC.
Actually, you should start a sole proprietorship.
The thing is,
LLC is going to charge you taxes, and it's going to have a fee and all that stuff. So sole proprietorship, if you're going to try and do that.
See, that's why you're here,
That's
Caitlin.
what I'm saying.
That's why you're here.
The thing is, in that book as well that I was reading, it doesn't say anything about starting an LLC. It literally is like,
basic.
Just find a problem.
Yeah, you're going a few steps ahead. You're going a few steps ahead, Tommy. But maybe the product first would be a good one.
It's interesting because I actually wanted to ask you, especially about like your posting and stuff, because you recently had a video that went viral with over 5 million views. The first time I texted you about it was 2.5, and now it's over 5. So do you find like a sense of satisfaction from that video and seeing that number, or does it kind of like, does it reframe your mindset to like, okay, now I have to try and get super viral videos all the time? Or are you more comfortable being good consistently rather than great occasionally?
So that's definitely the thing. I think this is just anybody in general. As soon as you go viral, you're like, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I
am
famous.
Amazing. Nothing ever is going to happen to me. This is it. This is my final breakthrough. And here's the few things. So I would say in that video, again, Maui's trying to come. In that video itself, I don't even think I was like, oh, this is content that is fantastic and can go viral. It's just something that I posted. So I want to just really talk about that, because a lot of people, when you think virality is the first step, you're not going to do it. You're going to do it completely wrong. You want to really focus on that internal conflict that people have. How are you going to help them and make their lives easier? And I guess also the last thing, it's either inform, entertain, or educate. Those are the 3 kind of buckets that you should be putting your content in. Either it should be informational, educational, or entertaining. And I'm going to assume that video was very entertaining because my hair got stuck in the thing. And honestly, but that's kind of, again, just being me, that's again, the only thing I can really emphasize on. You really have to be yourself, because who else is going to have a video like that? And here's what's funny, okay? The girl, I got that video from a girl. I didn't even come up with that pose, come up with that exercise. I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to try it. And I recorded it, and clearly people liked it. It's just, it depends on how it works with the algorithm, how it works with your audience. But I will say, yes, after it happened, I was like, oh my gosh. I think I might have taken a few days off, which is unfortunate. I don't recommend that either. I don't. I recommend let's say a post goes viral, I recommend posting either the next day or later, just keep your content new. I kind of took a few days off because I was just staring at it, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Wow, this is great. Yes. So it does make me kind of like, oh, great. Should I now, if my next video doesn't hit it, what's wrong with that? You know, but again, I have to be easy on myself and realize it's an algorithm. I'm producing the content that I know I want to be producing, and if it goes crazy, fantastic. If it doesn't, then it wasn't really meant to be out there, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, I want to bring something up. A book that I was reading, it's called You Can Be Happy No Matter What. And also, I think happiness, that's general idea right now. I think that's going to be my TED Talk concept, happiness. That's my niche that I love, so we're there. But again, so when you were talking about anxiety costs and whatnot, in this book, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. You shouldn't have any of those problems right now. Everything that is in your head, you have a million thoughts a day. I'm going to tell you right now, 100 of them are useful to you. 100. 100 out of a million of them are useful to your brain. But you think consistently throughout the day. And right now, I know you're probably thinking not even about what I'm saying, but something else. And it's unnecessary. You don't need it. And those anxiety costs are those unnecessary, not needed at all, thoughts and comments that you're putting and inflicting on yourself to make yourself doubt yourself, which is literally a thought. So that's what I'm going to tell you. It's not anxiety costs. It's nothing. It is your thought. And I'm going to tell everybody this. It's your thought process. You need to change the way you think, and everything will probably fall into place. I'm going to tell you that. I know it sounds so freaking weird. It does. It sounds weird. It's like whole manifestation. I'm that girl boss thing, you know. But
gaslight, gatekeep,
exactly.
girl boss.
I cannot emphasize enough that your thoughts do not define you. Your thoughts they only have power if you act on them. Otherwise, it's literally just a sentence in your head. Mm-hmm. Why can't you let it go? Why are you still dwelling on that situation when it was a sentence in your head? You know, it didn't even happen, but now you're 10 times more amped up and nervous over a sentence in your head? Like, how ridiculous does that sound? That's just my thought on anxiety stuff now. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to work through that myself, but one step that has gotten me further is to realize that my thoughts, I don't need to take them so serious. And I think people do that.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense because, like, there's been two things that I've been trying to do. And one of them is, one, journal. And that journal would also be write down three great things every day. And for the fact that if you're looking for 3 great things every day, you're going to have a more positive mindset going into anything. You're going to be looking for, oh, that, you know, that bird was really, really pretty, or, you know, that tree with the leaves and stuff that looks really nice, or, you know, that person that I just talked to, that was super cool to have a conversation with them. So, like, trying to reformulate my mindset as well of, like, being more positive. And then there was actually a quote that I sent to Tommy and Jack the other day. It was from the Daily Stoic book, and it's, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought, for the human spirit is colored by such impressions. So it's like, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're taking in, you know, if I'm thinking I'm not able to do this, and I can constantly think I'm not able to do this, and not able to do this, not able to do this, obviously my mind's going to be colored by the impression that I'm not able to do this. So I really resonate with what you're saying, and, like, trying to encourage everybody to get out of that negative mindset, because I do think once I'm able to do that, and, you know, I'll be able to do that now. You know, I'm trying to think of, like, I'm able to do that now. I'm not trying to wait till the next day or the next minute or whatever. I think that can help so many people, and I think that's so fortunate that you're able to bring that up, and, you know, kind of hope everybody can, you know, formulate their own process of how that works as well. And I think that's, you know, really insightful.
Your thoughts sometimes cannot be your friend.
Yeah, that is very, very true words. And I mean, I feel that heavy because some days I can control it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the fucking greatest at everything. I can do anything I set my mind to. And then other days I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What's my plan? Where am I going? Am I going to be
anything
working a retail job at 35? Yeah, like am I going to make it?
See, and the thing with me too is I have OCD. I take OCD medication. My thoughts will run and run and run. So usually when I wake up in the morning, it's like 6:45, 7. I'm that person that, like, can't go back to sleep because your thoughts are running. But that's something that I want everyone to realize, because I always thought I wasn't in control of it. But if you can acknowledge the fact that, okay, I'm overthinking, these thoughts are occurring in my head, nothing's wrong with me right now. You just acknowledge them and you move past them. It's a whole different story. You don't let them affect you. Like, let's say a bad situation comes up, you acknowledge that it happens and you move now. Next step. That's it. You just have to acknowledge. I don't want people to think that you need to kind of pretend like it's not there. Like, let's not pretend that you have to pay your bills and you don't have enough money. You know, it's just, you have to think about, okay, this is happening. But if I think about it more, I'm still going to be stuck back there, when I can just acknowledge and move forward and try and be better from it.
You're digging you're digging the hole deeper instead of filling the hole in.
Sure. Whatever hole that is.
That's a great concept.
Whatever the hole that you may be stuck in is.
I think, can you repeat that one more time? I don't think I understood what you were saying.
So if you have a problem like that and you keep thinking on it,
you're digging yourself the hole.
You're digging that hole deeper.
Okay.
Yeah, you're digging the hole that you're in deeper instead of filling it back in with the dirt and covering the hole up.
Oh, we're trying to fill the hole up. We're trying to fill the hole up and get rid of the hole.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, you want to fill the hole up and get rid of the hole, because then it's not a problem anymore.
Got it. The hole is the problem.
Yes.
I wanted to ask a question, because you talked earlier about productivity. I believe you said something about productivity and trying to be productive. So I've also been reading a book called Deep Work, and it's trying to be focused in a distracted world. So in this book, it kind of emphasizes how much time is spent in meetings and not actually getting work done. It uses like busyness as like a proxy for productivity. So the more busy you look, the more work you're technically getting done.
Starbucks.
So being remote, how often are you in meetings, and then how often are you actually getting work done? Because that kind of seems like the stigma for being in a remote job, that you're able to not work when you're in meetings and like you're trying to act like you're doing busy work. But like, how often are you actually getting things done compared to scheduled hours of work?
Okay, here I think a lot of people mix up the concept of remote work. For instance, I worked at our dad's warehouse before when I went through, I have COVID-induced diabetes. That's a whole nother situation, guys. But anyways, I was working remote for my dad at the time. In that sense, I was customer service. So yes, I was working remote, but like I needed to be on the laptop all those hours, so it really didn't make a difference from being remote. But with my job, again, very, very fortunate, and I honestly have no idea if this is how it works for any other remote job, but I have literally one meeting. It's my huddle, my morning huddle. I have my morning huddle at 11:30 a.m. because they're in California time. It's 9:30, but 11:30 here. And that's usually, it's just, check in for all the group. How you doing? What are you working on today? Sometimes half an hour, okay? Monday through Friday, most of the time, it's usually that meeting. That's it. That 30-minute meeting. The rest of the day, I'll spend usually like 6 hours doing my own work, which is either editing reels, editing podcasts, making content, all that kind of stuff, measuring analytics, checking website traffic, making emails, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to meetings, it's very sparse. Like, it's only that 30-minute meeting. I think I have 2 next week scheduled. It's like 1:30, and then another one's at like 2 p.m. So it's really not that many meetings. I think it also depends on what niche you're in. I'm in marketing. I am the social media manager, so I don't need to be into those developer meetings or, those other meetings. But I do know that with my job, it's very flexible. I have a 30-minute meeting. If my boss is like, hey, can you meet at 2 o'clock? I'm like, yeah, sure. We'll meet at 2, and then I can work for an hour, and then, I'll go to the gym, or I'll go eat, or go get a massage or something. I love that. Massages are my thing since I've been remote. Massages. So yes, overall, my productivity, I have to say this too, you have to be self-disciplined if you're going to work remote. If you are that person that's like, oh, I want to work remote, I want to work remote, but you're going to sit at home and literally do nothing, it's unfortunate that people have that mindset, because it's such a privilege to be able to work remote, that people can really think like that. But again, if you aren't going to be self-disciplined, you're not going to get any of your work done, and then you're probably going to get fired because it's hard. It really is hard doing work at home. I mean, most of the time I can't even do my work at the house. I do it at the gym because I need to be in a different area.
You literally just answered the question that I was about to ask you.
What was that?
I was going to say, how hard is it? Like, there's a huge stigma in corporate everywhere about people working remote aren't as productive, and they want people in the office every day of the week.
People need that.
Do you think?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I don't think we can go as a race, as a society, as a human race. No. If we go 100% remote, nope. There's no way.
Productivity falls
But
heavily.
also, I mean,
Yeah, that just takes away the entire.
well, the thing is
social
about that,
aspect, too.
I mean, I have my free time now. You know, I get all my work done. That now I'm going to be part-time teaching classes at Lifetime. So it gives me that, you know, that extra time to spend doing what I want to do. Because I get my work done because I'm self-disciplined during that time.
When do you start at Lifetime?
So
Actually, I started April 2nd.
Oh,
First class might be Saturday. I don't know yet.
So,
ooh.
go ahead, Nick.
No,
You just said
you're good.
ooh.
I'm just commenting.
So, I've heard that with you working at Lifetime, being an instructor, you'll be hourly for the first couple months, and then after that, you will be all commission.
Wrong.
That's not right?
I think that's for a trainer.
That's correct for
okay.
personal training.
So you,
That's correct. Unfortunately,
but you're doing classes, so it's
so
okay.
it's a little bit different. Personal training is a lot more difficult, in my opinion. I credit all the personal trainers because you really need to sell yourself. You really do. And me, as somebody who, I mean, I did competitive cheerleading, so I've been more so in a group setting rather than one-on-one in general. I like the group settings better, but the people that can actually personal train and sell themselves, again, which is why I think personal training is really the person. It's not necessarily what, you know, can you teach me how to grow my butt? It's I like talking to you
Knowledge.
and getting that knowledge from
Yeah.
you 2 to 3 times a week, you know?
Yeah.
So in other words, I get paid hourly, but it also includes like social media work that I do with them. So I'm also going to be doing social media stuff. I don't have too much information on that yet. I'm still in the works of it all. But yes, that also.
And the social media work, would that probably be commissioned by like post, or would you
I
get
think that
hourly
one's
on that
it's also
too?
just hourly. Because right now with my marketing job, my remote job, it's also hourly.
Okay.
So how was the process of getting your group instructor, not license, but certification, I guess? Like, what was? I've always been wanting to get a personal training one,
Actually,
but like I'm not sure how like extensive.
well, personal training is definitely more expensive. The NASM certification is insane.
Mhm.
I did my
Yeah.
AFAA. That's the certification that I got. They actually right now, because I finished it and I'm done with it, I actually got a text the other day. So it's not proctored when you do the exam to get your certification, but I got a text from them saying if I wanted to do a proctored exam, they'll give me $300. So that's something that you could do if you wanted to do it. So I don't think
Huh.
I don't think the personal training exam is proctored either. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me. But
I honestly did any research on that either. I feel like it might be, but you see some of these personal trainers nowadays, and it's very questionable on how they're teaching people how to do certain things. So I guess you really
Yeah.
never know.
well, also that's another thing.
I do also
learning
have-
online. There's so many different certifications that, you know, people just look stuff up and, you know, they forget it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I do have another question that's more so just this one I came up with just because I know you have extensive knowledge on fitness like Nick, and part of the purpose of the podcast is to help people. So what is some advice that you have for girls specifically that are intimidated by the gym and scared to go? Because these
Sorry.
are the questions I can't ask Nick.
Are you talking to Nicholas?
No, I'm talking to you.
I
Caitlin.
laughed. I literally was like, are you actually asking this question to Nicholas? There's no way.
No. I'm asking you because I can't ask Nick these types of questions.
I was literally
I know
like,
we have
wow,
some...
we're going to get canceled. He just asked a boy about a girl question. That's crazy. I'm like, have you seen the movie Barbie? Hello? This is the 21st century. Get it together. Anyways, what was the question?
What is some advice you personally have for girls that are trying to get started in the gym that are intimidated and don't know how to take the first step?
If you want to go to the gym, the only reason why you're intimidated, again, your fear, your thought, it's your thought pattern. That's it. So if I want to tell it like basic, I'm going to tell you, you got to rewire that because nobody's going to look at you. Nobody's going to make fun of you. None of that. As a female.
So pretty much.
As a female, me speaking on my own experience of, going into a gym and feeling intimidated. Don't. Honestly, that's it. I literally can just say, who cares? Go with somebody. That's the first step. Like, if you can't get into the gym, go with somebody. Whether it's your mom, your sister, your brother, your dog. Hopefully there's dog gym soon. I'm hoping. I might open one, but that's something I want to do. But highly recommend just starting off going with somebody because it's so hard to do it by yourself. But then once you go with somebody and then you see the same people, you're like, oh, maybe I can go by myself. So that if one thing I could recommend, first step is go with somebody. If you have nobody, hit me up. I'll go to the gym with you. I'm for real. I always tell people that. Like, if you need somebody, I got you. Because nobody needs to think and be scared of making themselves better or, be afraid to go to the gym because people are going to judge me. Fuck that. If you need me, I'm there. If I don't even know you, I'm coming. That's
at a flat rate of $20 an hour.
Hey. That's almost minimum wage now, okay?
Yeah. See, and I only wanted to ask you that. I know that's kind of out of the realm of the things we've been talking about, but me and Nick have talked about a lot of different things like that, but we haven't had the female mind yet. Yeah, we haven't had a girl yet to help answer those questions for the girls. A lot of our answers are...
You're for the guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. We're for the guys. We for the girls. We for the girls and the guys and the gals. Everybody today.
Inclusive.
We're for everybody today.
Hey, yeah. Now maybe our percentage of our demographic will go up, even though we have 30% girls that watch the show. 31%.
Nice.
Women.
69%
Women.
31% women. Yeah, keep it there. Actually, women don't watch more. We want to keep it at 69. So I mean, if we go back to
You're ridiculous.
I guess more marketing stuff. So I know earlier on we talked about, because Tommy talked about ads, and there is kind of this, when you post on Instagram or you post on TikTok, you get a thing that's like boost your post, pay $5 a day. How would you recommend that? Would you be someone that's fond of oh yeah, put $30 in, see how it does for a week, and maybe it'll benefit you? Or would you be since there's so much organic reach nowadays with Reels and with TikTok, it's kind of not worth it to start off? I mean, obviously starting off, you might not, if you have the funds maybe, but starting off, do you think it's beneficial to do paid advertisement for yourself?
So here's the thing. A lot of people, I have done a few different courses when it comes to ads. One of the courses that I love, it's called $1 a Day, but I think his name is Dennis Yu. I recommend anybody who's really going into social media or trying to get a business, look into that, because his concept is you put $1 a day into your ads. So again, I'll show you the backhand of it, why people don't do it, but you can really get off with finding that reach and really finding your audience through $1 a day, being cheap. You don't have to spend an extensive amount of money to do that. I don't recommend spending the 30. In my opinion, would I do it? I don't think so. You could totally do it. You could put that $30 on to your, let's say you boost $30 on your post. See how it does for that first day. If you don't get any links to your profile or whatever you put the call to action is on the ad, then you turn it off and don't use your whole budget. Mm-hmm. So for instance, let's say you put let's say you have $100. Great. You can put $100 on this post. You're going to do it over a span of I would recommend, what is it? I think it's to test out your ad should be like 3 to 5 days, most a week. Like that's kind of the test where you're paying attention to how it's doing. Do that. If it's doing well, obviously you can add to your budget. If it's not doing well, you kind of just nip it in the bud. That's it. So start with that, $1 a day. Mm-hmm. But for the people that actually have the budget, I mean, they do like $1,000 on an ad right away. And they'll let it run and see how it goes. And if it goes great, here's the thing. So if you're only doing $1 a day, you're only reaching about, I think it's like 1,400 to like 2,000. It depends. But it's only like a couple thousand numbers. Obviously, if you're spending $1,000 a day, you're going to be getting more than enough. So that's kind of the nuance. It's if you don't have that budget, you're going to have to wait that period out to kind of grow that following and grow that audience rather than, if you had that huge bulk, you can just, see it right away. But a lot of people can't do that. So it's all about longevity and, slowly putting it in there. I would recommend doing a few different ads, $1 a day. That's how I would. I recommend trying it. I mean, it's $1 a day. It's not going to harm you just to attempt. If you're already on social media and you're posting content and you think this is good, I highly recommend just boosting it $1 a day for a week and see how it does. Yeah.
But you would also probably want to look at your content and be like, is this worth doing $1 a day? Like, are people actually going to
it totally depends.
Like, you shouldn't just like, oh, there's a post of me like doing some bench press and like I'm going to boost that post.
Well, yeah, it depends. Again, you have to be giving, you have to inform, educate, or entertain. That's it. If you're not going to produce value for that audience, they're going to move. They're going to swipe. They're going to click. They can probably see the same video below you, if I'm going to be quite honest,
What is the difference between informative and educational posts? Because I thought that those are like synonymous.
Informative is like news.
Oh, okay.
Like news, like current events. Okay. Versus educate, you're teaching
and then when
topics. Inform is like keeping up to date.
When when you're looking at you're good. When you're looking at content, you said earlier that people are their attention span is literally like 3 to 5 seconds. So do you think everyone needs to be putting something that's super eye-catching at the beginning of the video to even have a chance at like having it go not even just viral, but having it to be interacted with well? Because it may have some really high quality content that nobody really have seen before, but like if you put that in like the middle instead of putting like a little clip at the beginning, people might not interact with it because they just everyone's attention span's so messed up nowadays with especially with TikTok and stuff. So you would recommend having somebody having the high catching content right at the beginning because of the kind of like pandemic of attention span we're having.
If your hook is not in the beginning of the video, it's going to skip. Unless, there's obviously certain times where you can't really add a hook in. It's kind of just weird and ad-like that you don't want to do that, But like for my instance, for the video that has over 5 million views, I cut the funny part and I put it at the front. So it's just like, oh, like, ha ha ha, that's real, that's funny, I'm going to keep watching. It's different. You want to put, it necessarily doesn't even have to be like a hook, like, oh, this. It's just something that's different, that makes you stand out, that makes your content. People are like, you scroll through how many videos a day, Think about yourself on TikTok. You're like, whatever. But just that one thing, you're like, I like that, I'm going to stay on it. You don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. You just gotta test it and hope for the best. Again, it's just algorithms and the people that it ends up hitting.
So it's worth taking that, like, because I feel like when I do that, like if I'm gonna come up with a video, I'm like, do I want to be clickbaity? Like, do I want to try and like trigger somebody at the beginning of this to like with trigger words or having like a really oh my god, I can't believe this just happened.
The thing about clickbait that actually in my little marketing industry. It's only clickbait if you don't produce the value, if you don't give anything after the fact. If you are doing that hook, you're like, oh, I just died 3 minutes ago, and then like it's literally somebody dying 3 minutes ago. You're speaking on what you said you were going to deliver, and you're doing it. If you're actually putting out that content with that hook, you'll have no problem. It's not clickbait. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not clickbait. Clickbait is when you find out she's not what you thought she looked like. You know, that's you got to look the same.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's like fishing but for content is when you
Nothing.
clickbait and then there's like not actually any substance behind it. Gotcha. That makes sense. I guess I got to use that more in my own content and the podcast content for sure. Like not the, I guess I've been using like the quotes at the beginning and I hope people would stay, and some of them actually have done relatively well, but it definitely is a good insight to take on. I mean, just the thought about making content in general.
Usually when I do the podcast, when I edit and make them into reels, I really either it has to be, you know, something that's really interesting or really funny. That's it. So, like, for instance, any kind of your topic for whatever podcast next week is going to be, you really want to have that main, good, juicy, little 3-second part right in the beginning. You know, whatever that topic is. Or else people aren't going to watch it. So, in my opinion, you're talking about your stoic quotes.
Yeah. Or just quotes in general. Any quotes that come up like at the show I see and I find interesting, or Tommy says or whatever. Just like anything, like something that would be like, oh, that's actually interesting. I want to learn more about that, is something that I would put at the beginning. Because I realistically, if you look at a podcast clip, that's what most podcast clips are the best quotes, or like the best things that are going to make people like really contemplate what the topic or whatever they're talking about in the podcast are, you know? So that's what I've been trying to do. But, you know, sometimes I have that, like, this is kind of, like, I feel scummy for it for some reason. Like, but even though that's kind of like the meta. It's in, like, that's literally like the meta of what social media is. It's like, it's literally like the meta. It's like you have to use a short clip at the beginning to get somebody's attention.
For those of you that don't know, meta means most effective tactic available.
Thank you. Needed that.
I didn't even know that. I just assumed
most effective
whatever
tactic
the best.
Available.
I guess.
Do we know that's what
is
that what like meta, like Facebook meta? Is that it, or are you just talking about the word?
Probably not. I mean, it probably correlates to it in some way. I would assume.
Oh, you learn something new every day. Thanks, appreciate that one.
Wait, you didn't know that, Nick?
Yeah, I guess so. Thanks, Tommy. I did not know that it was an acronym.
Because I didn't know what a meta was until I learned it from you, like playing Fortnite, and then I looked it up and was like, "What the fuck does this mean?" And that's what it means.
Huh.
So this is going to be going back to how you kind of became the person that you were, or are, I guess. So you were known for being on a cheerleading team called Smoed. That's why you moved to California. You're on this team. You're on Awesomeness TV on YouTube, who has like 1 million subscribers or something. And they put on like these shows. Actually, I'll just let you explain it. Can you explain like what the whole process of like Awesomeness TV was, and like the whole cheerleading aspect? And then on top of that, how did that experience kind of, experience away from home help you pursue your passion at the time?
Cheerleading. Competitive cheerleading, not the little high school stuff. You actually have to like travel and do all that fun stuff. So we ended up, my sister and I moved to California, and with this team, they have won the world championships multiple times before. So this is how they already had the show. How the show would work is usually, I think it was like maybe once a month or something, they would come to a practice, and they would stay like that 3-hour practice or whatever and just film. You'd come in earlier and do like your interviews and whatnot, and then they'd show up to competitions and they'd just be filming you. That was that. So that's the gist of what the show is. What was the next question? Shape me?
How did that experience, like, away from home kind of, formulate who you were today, and like also the fact that like it helped you pursue a passion
first
at
of all,
the time?
I still follow, I think, 2 of the camera people from Awesomeness TV that filmed at the gym. I still follow them. I love them. One of them is Ben. The other one's Tara. Shout out them. But I mean, besides just meeting a bunch of different people, obviously, I mean, I went from Illinois to California. It's a complete jump. And I think still at the time when we moved to California, everyone was like, oh, California, like beaches and Barbie and, you know, Malibu and all that stuff. And it was like such this hype. So I think going out there to begin with, I think it definitely, when I first got out there, it blew my head up. But then I got very much sat down at practice because it was hard. The whole experience was hard. But I like to talk about cheer in a sense where I think it definitely gave me the discipline and the motivation and the drive and the leadership that I have now, because I was working with a group of people since I was 3 years old. And I was just able to be myself and be that leader and lead towards people and find that this is what I'm good at and I enjoy it. So that was kind of awesome for that fact. I mean, when I was out there trying to kind of do cheerleading and then like live my life, it was hard. They kind of tied in to each other. So I became like just a cheerleader. Like that was it. That was my identity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it was a little bit difficult to kind of remove myself once I was done with cheerleading. But I think figuring out that cheer was such a big part of my life and it really did shape who I was, it brought me to, okay, you know what? I can do school remote. I can do online school. I can finish my degree and I can do all these things, you know, like it put these obstacles in front of me that made me realize like, okay, maybe I am capable of these things. And I think a lot of people are too scared to go out there and have those obstacles, but you really need them because you have no idea what you're capable of. California, I was 16 at the time. I was 16. What? Like, what are you talking about? That it's just weird.
So did you ever have like a thought that you were like gonna fail? Like you were like, this might not actually work out. This is a little bit scary.
Everything about it. Personally, financially, relationship wise with like my friends. It was a huge burden at the end of the day. But all in all, I would say that it did have its value and I am a better person out of it.
Was it kind of like almost exciting being in the limelight at that age?
Oh, it's freaking crazy. I mean, like, I would go to competitions in like Dallas and Florida and everything, and people would be like, "Oh, can you take a photo with me?" And I'm sitting there like 17 years old, like, "Oh my god, you want a picture of me?
Shit on the
like,
earth
are you
right
sure?"
Now. Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it was crazy to the point where like our team ended up having to like kind of hide our bags because our logo was on our bags so people would know who we were. We'd have to like hide our bags because people were trying to come take pictures while we needed to go to warm up or whatever it was. So it was definitely an experience. I think it's awesome. I mean, I think everyone would think it's awesome for sure, you know, like getting attention from people. After the fact, now that, you know, I'm just a regular human being doing marketing stuff. Do I miss it? I don't think I miss it. I hope everybody gets their little limelight, you know, because I think it's really cool to experience. And a lot of people end up getting stuck in like, oh my gosh, I'm so famous, and they don't move from it. And that's where you can tell like the different people in this world. That's why I kind of want everybody to go through it, because everybody's different and it's how you handle the situation. It's like survival of the fittest, you know. It's like that conversation.
Yeah.
Did that kind of formulate open the path into
100%.
Marketing for you? Like, did this be like, oh, maybe I do want to go into, you know, social media and like, oh, this YouTube thing was kind of cool. Like, maybe I do want to actually, you know, learn more about this.
Before I moved out there, I was a junior in high school. I think what I wanted to do at the time, I was in like sports medicine club in high school, and I wanted to do like physical therapy and that kind of stuff. So before I moved out to California, like social media really wasn't my thing. Like I would post because I already did cheerleading, and posting on Instagram was like such a girl thing to do back then, that it was like, oh yeah, followers and likes. Like I would look at them, but it was never like, oh, I'm going to have like 10,000 followers on Instagram. You know, like I'm going to have to brand myself and post as like a brand. And now it's just like, I'm thankful at the end of the day. I am glad that I had my time. I hope everybody has their time. but you have to be able to move past it if things fall out of line, is what I'm trying to say.
So does it play up to the hype that you would think it does? Like when you were like super, I guess famous in a way, did you, like, after the fact you're like, I would not want to be famous anymore? Like there's kind of like the idea of like being rich or being famous. Like most people want to be rich, but they also don't want to be famous at the same time because they literally can't go do normal things. Like I'm not sure how much it affected like your normal day-to-day basis, like people would be coming up to you and stuff, because it's not like you're like Drake or something. But like, did you still see that like, okay, maybe I would want to be wealthy, but I don't want to be famous where everybody's coming up to me all the time.
So something about me though is like when our little sister Carissa and I, when we were little, like we would do video star videos, like you know the video star stuff where you like do the music videos. Like that's something that we've always done as kids. So I think like the limelight or like that famous sense, like being open to society, I think I've always kind of wanted that. I know that some people like completely, they're like, no, I don't want that at all. I think for me it's a little different. I don't mind it. I think since a kid I've always, put myself on freaking TV and made YouTube videos and done all that stuff. So I think it depends on the person.
I think us as a family, I mean, except for Jake, maybe, have always tried to create a lot of videos throughout our entire lives. Like,
so weird.
I mean, you did that stuff. I would make like YouTube videos and
streaming and stuff. So weird.
Professional Fortnite player for a little bit, and it was just like we all had our little passions that we would go into. So I guess that makes sense. It definitely depends on the person and if they can, if they can handle it or not.
But no,
but
it did. I'm gonna tell you though, it did. Sometimes it was super weird. Like I go to In-N-Out when I lived out there, and then I'd like be sitting, and people would be like, "Are you from?" Actually, it happened one time. We went to Lululemon at Woodfield Mall, and one of the workers was like, "Oh my gosh, were you on SMOAD?" It's just so weird because it's also been like 5-6 years now where I'm like, oh my gosh, I was. It's crazy.
Well, that's funny because
really?
Cam's
now
fiance knew who you guys were. And he lives in Oklahoma.
I'm dead.
No. Oh, now wife. Yeah, duh.
Really?
Was there. Yeah, now wife. She knew who you were.
Or like,
so it's like, I think that's kind of
Angel
crazy
from work. His little sister was like, "Oh my God, you work with Carissa?" Because she watched her videos and knew who she was.
I think it's so cool, and I think everybody wants to have that.
That's crazy.
That pop star wow moment that like someone comes up to you and recognizes you. But I think people tend to, it's like the whole virality thing. If you are looking for that, you're not going to get it. If you are looking to be person, to be famous, you're probably not going to be it. You really got to be yourself.
Okay, this is like, I guess this is a question. You guys knew going out there that this was a thing, that Awesomeness TV was a thing. Did you know that there was a possibility that you guys would get famous then?
I didn't know that the tryout video was being sent. Didn't even know. I honestly, when it came to cheerleading, my strong suit was my character and my stunting. I was never the best tumbler, but when I got to SMOAD, like, because I didn't think I was all that good. But when I got to SMOAD, I really got my shit together, and I was, like, starting to get all my skills and everything like that. What was the question? What was the question? I forgot.
I did too.
Okay.
I forgot the question too. I remember.
Yeah,
so
it
was,
the
did
thing
you
with
know
that
going
is,
out
like,
there that you were
SMOAD already
you had a
had
chance
the show,
of becoming like
and I mean
famous,
they were like legit. I think it was different because they were on their like really, really top tier streak around, I don't even know what it was, probably like 2015. So around the time that we came, it was kind of settling in. So it wasn't such a big platform. So I don't really think I was like, oh, I'm going to be famous. But I did know that in the cheer industry and in the cheer world, which was most of my audience at the time, like all of my followers and all the people that I followed were cheerleaders, I knew that it would probably end up kind of going that way just because the platform that Awesomeness TV has and that SMOAD already had going in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you also said that like when you felt like you weren't that great going into it, but when you got there, you got your shit together. So do you think that puts emphasis on whoever you spend the most time with and whoever you are around really kind of formulates who you are as a person?
I think it depends on your work ethic. I think, yes, 100%. If you surround yourself, obviously my team, we kind of had to get our shit together as a group because we practiced together. But I do know that there is obviously like a handful of people that wouldn't put the work in or wouldn't do that. So that's why it's like, it depends. Because in a group setting, the group could be working the hardest, but like, you go home and they're still eating like McDonald's and shit, and they're going to feel like shit the next day. So I think it depends. Again?
So it's more of just like, you can have that group with you that like it's kind of like in the cheer aspect. Like, yes, you may come together as a group to be good at cheer, but
you gotta
might
want
not
it.
transfer over to other things in life in terms of like, getting
100%.
like
You
getting
have to
other
want it.
aspects
But again,
of your
like,
life together.
if you are that person who's dedicated
Gotcha.
and determined, like for you, I know that you were super into sports. Most people who are super dedicated and consistent in an aspect or a niche that they already have, they're going to be fantastic at it. They're going to be great, But I think a lot of people tend to think like, oh, I could be good at this and I'm okay at this, so I'm not going to really try. But like if you really put your all into it, you could probably be the best version of whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. I find this, I thought about this, I don't know when, but if you kind of think about the aspect that, whoever you're around kind of makes you the person that you are, do you think kind of like everyone's upbringing in terms of like how their parents kind of taught them, especially relative to sports, really kind of formulates how they go about things? So like, for example, when you're growing up, your parent could either be like, wow, you are so talented, like you're the best at this and you do so good every day, instead of being like, another parent might be like, the hard work that you're putting in, you're putting in time in the gym, all this hard work that you're giving to this, whatever the sport is, whatever, your niche is, that's why you're so good. I think the two differences could really make a big difference. You're either the one parent that praises their kid,
acknowledges
or the other
their
one
hard
that
work.
kind of supports their effort. Do you think that's, yeah. So do you think that really affects, I'm not sure. I really can't really remember how much our parents affected us in that way, but like, do you think that has a big correlation to how everybody kind of grows up and performs in certain aspects?
Let's be 100% real right now, okay? If Carissa was always better at cheerleading than I was, but like my personality was always very loud. So I think a lot of people already knew me from that sense. And with you, you were good at what you were doing. So I'm going to tell you right now, yes, you did get a handful of praise. And I did get a handful of praise. And I do think that completely changes our mindset. Because we also have a brother that didn't get as much praise. And he's completely different than us. Like we'll tell our opinion and leave it at that. Versus we know people that have literally grown up with us and it's completely different.
Makes sense. What about you, Tommy? Like, do you think, how did the way that your parents kind of like taught you, or I don't want to say just your dad, but like, how the way that your dad kind of taught you and either praise you or acknowledge you kind of formulate the way that you kind of think about things?
With me, it's kind of like, I receive praise sometimes, but it was more on the acknowledging side, like, hey, you're putting in hard work, good job. But it was also, you're putting in hard work, good job, but that's what you're supposed to be doing, so I'm not going to praise you for it. Like, growing, like, it made me feel like I was never doing good enough. Because, like, I'd see people in school and they'd get $10 per B on their report card and $20 per A on their report card. I never got $1 for getting good grades. It was, why the fuck did you get a B in this class? You said it was easy. Why didn't you get an A? So yeah, it has really almost driven me to perfectionism and like never thinking my work's good enough because I didn't ever really receive much praise.
Also, I think a lot of people, that changes, I think your concept.
So there's kind of like that.
Your situation is the same as a lot of people, but I think the other way around is that it hits those people hard. Like, you take it, you're a perfectionist now. Other people, they take it and it's like a whole boulder, and that's it. Like that's it. They can't move past that. Anything they do,
like
they know they're not going to be good enough, so they don't do it. So a lot of people do that out of fear, so that's good that you became perfectionist rather than doing nothing. But I think that's something that we can also realize, that other people handle it completely different. They don't become perfectionists. They end up, being insecure and whatnot.
Yeah, because it's like it's kind of like you have both sides to either the praise or the acknowledgement. Like one side, like the praise, like, okay, yes, they were praised, but they still worked hard. And then you have the other side of the praise where it's like they were always told that they worked hard, or they were always told they were so good, so they didn't put any hard work. Where then on the acknowledged side, it's like, okay, they were acknowledged with their hard work, so they kept putting in the hard work. And the other side was like, oh, I'm never getting acknowledged. I'm just going to curl up in a ball and hide away. And I do think, that's a huge aspect, especially, and I would assume that's super hard to get out of that hole. Because I do think, I don't know, I think I did receive a lot of praise growing up. Like, I feel like I was always told that I was good at everything that I did. Like, literally everyone would be like, dude, you could probably pick up a sport and you would be good at it, or you could pick up a game and you'd be good at it. And I do think it's, especially, I saw that correlate to Fortnite so much. Because, like, I was always told I was so good at things, to when I was no longer worrying about a team aspect of it. It was more of just, it was all individual. I just like, okay, I'm better than everybody. I don't need to put in the work because I'm not affecting anybody else. And that's what kind of drove me into, I dug my grave deeper when it comes to playing Fortnite, because I didn't put in the work, and it ended up changing my mindset on, playing video games in general. It kind of messed up my mental. Like, I don't know. It definitely messed me up a lot.
You are that other
so
side.
I think
You're literally explaining the other side of Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. That's true. Yeah, like I did I guess in a team aspect, when I knew people relied on me, I was the person that worked hard, and I knew I wanted to get better for them. When it was more for myself, if I knew it was for myself, it was like, I'm not really that worth it. I'm just gonna, kind of go with the flow and see if it works out. Because it seems like it's, I was always good as a kid, and, people always told me, and I didn't really put in that much effort. So I feel like that's going to happen now, and it didn't.
Yep.
It kicked me in the ass.
Praise.
And that's tough. But getting out of that hole and kind of realizing, especially for myself, because I had to take myself out of that hole. I had to come to a conclusion that, it wasn't healthy to do what I was doing. And I'm not going to say that you guys leaving was a factor of that. It might have been, it might have not. I don't really remember who I was at that time. But, like, there's definitely a lot of other factors that go into it, for sure. Family factors, childhood stuff, friends, people. There's just so many factors that I think can actually go into how praise and acknowledgement actually affect someone as a person.
Praise is crazy. It's a whole different thing. It's like the same. I mean, if we relate it back to social media and my job, getting that praise is the same thing as like going viral. You get that and you feel amazing, but then you do something the next time and maybe it's not so amazing, and then you feel, oh shit. Well, since 5 million people didn't see this, am I not worth it anymore? It's the same concept, and I think a lot of people get overwhelmed in the fact that like praise is a thing, when all in all, you are amazing, and you're the only person that got your back is you. So you don't need that praise. That praise is already there because it's in there internally. You don't need to look outward for praise when you're content with yourself internally and you know what you're worth and all that stuff. No praise. No praise over here.
So kind of veering our way back towards social media, if you were to if someone was to, or I guess let's just say this, if you were to start a social media account today from zero, how would you do it, and what would be the 5 tips that you would give to someone that would help them start their progress towards becoming, a brand and, building themselves?
First 5 steps.
Hire Caitlin as your social media manager. That's step 1.
I know, I should get my little my campaign out. Okay. If you're starting from zero, like I already said, I'm gonna tell you this is not gonna go in order. I'm just gonna do it at the top of my head. Produce good content. And I know that's very generalized and broad, but again, depending on your niche, the content, inform, educate, entertain, either one of those. And you need to be providing value. So when it comes to the content, that's my main thing, provide value. That's the first step. Whatever it is, provide the value. Next, you kind of have to figure out where your audience is. So if they're on Instagram, if they're on TikTok, where are they? Kind of pinpoint that first. I would recommend using a handful of platforms, but mainly stay on the ones that obviously your audience is on. Follow and look at people that are competitors in that niche. So whether it's, another business doing the same thing or whatever, you want to pay attention to what they're doing and what they're doing that's correct. So competitive analysis, that's one of the huge things you want to do when you first start social media, because you're kind of just, again, content. When you think about it, a lot of people are producing the same content. It's how you deliver it. That's how it's going to resonate with the people. So make it a little different. Look at what your competitors are doing. See if it's great. See if it's not great. Take that advice and move on from there. That's the third step. What else do I got for you? I don't know. Be authentic. I think authenticity is given right now, especially in a world full of AI and like bot accounts. So I highly recommend showing your personal self and your character so people know that you're real, you're legit, and you're reliable. And then also, last thing, show your authority. Show why people would want to listen to you. Why do people want to talk to you? Why do people want to watch your content? Why do people want to read your blogs or look at your social media posts? What do you do for them? So look at that stuff. That's my 5 tips. Tips.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got.
So actually going off of the third one where you said, test, I think it was the third one, but in relative to like platforms that you're going to be posting stuff on, do you recommend posting on every single platform or trying to be good at one platform?
I don't recommend being good at one platform. I think all of your content can be used universally for any platform. Like all your podcast stuff, if you're doing a podcast, you can post it on YouTube, you can post it on Instagram, you can post it on YouTube Shorts, you can post it on Twitter, anything. I think, again, the only thing it really is, don't post on LinkedIn if your audience isn't on LinkedIn. Don't post on Twitter, because when you think about it, Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, I don't go on Twitter too much. I don't know if you guys do. You're older, so maybe you go on Twitter more than I do, I think. Because, like, Roberto goes on Twitter a lot.
Definitely.
So I think...
Definitely.
Exactly.
I only scroll on Twitter, to be honest. Like, I do TikTok sometimes, but
so
Twitter
that's my
is
thing,
mostly...
where it's like, TikTok is kind of where everybody... TikTok and Instagram, I just because the algorithm is so forgiving on TikTok, I recommend using it. But again, depending on what your audience is, put it on there. So don't go post. Also, don't go post the same video that you posted on TikTok on Instagram. Like the same thing, exact same. Like, don't just do that. People don't like that. Also, there's different like pixel formats that you need to put it in anyways. It just doesn't work. So don't do that either. But
so like
post on the accounts and the platforms that your audience is on.
So, like, say we have a reel from this podcast, for example, of you saying some hot shit. That really
that's
gets
the same.
People.
I mean, that's a little bit different. I mean, the only thing, like, for instance, so let's say you were to post a reel from this podcast on Instagram. You could post the same reel or TikTok video on TikTok. I would just, change the header of the thing. You want to make it a little bit different. You don't want everything to look the same because it's
Yeah, don't just copy
personalize it to the platform.
That makes sense.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Becoming marketing managers, guys. Good job.
Then yes, thank you. This is
start
Caitlin's
selling the course. Yeah,
that's what your business should be. Course on marketing. So when somebody kind of thinks about finding their audience, obviously everyone's a little bit different when it comes to time frame.
Market research.
It's going to take them to find their audience. So would you say that there's a basis? Would you say that there's a basis though for like, okay, I'm going to post for a whole year, which is honestly an interesting, because like I don't think I've ever posted for a whole single year, like a whole straight year, and expected, because I think that comes back to like I want instant gratification rather than long-term gratification. And that's like kind of like a Jordan Peterson concept is like get good at pick one topic and then and try it for a year and see if it works. So would you say that like a year is like a good time frame to look at someone trying to post and go viral as a brand or a person? Like what would you say is kind of like a regular basis
for
like,
what
the
though?
normal person?
Like giving up on the idea.
Like yeah, like so because you're trying to find like
if this is not your thing, if this is not for you, I understand what you're saying.
Right?
When should you give up?
Yeah.
I don't think social media is ever changing, so I don't think a time span can really be put on that. I think it's
yeah. I would say maybe. Sorry to cut you off. I would say maybe it's not like reframing it to not quitting or giving up. It's more of just like how long do you think it takes to find your
like
fan
to grow
base
your following,
rather than,
to grow your
like,
following.
Yeah, find your fan base and how many. Yeah.
See, that's also another thing. So it's different for everybody and for what you're producing. I mean, okay, when you're finding your audience, the thing that's cool about these platforms now, their algorithms find the audience already within their, all your data sharing that you do. They already know. They know that you guys have a podcast, and they're putting you on this guy's For You page because he knows he watches podcasts. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to find your audience.
Mm-hmm.
But in case you don't know where to start, I recommend looking at people who generally do the same concept in the same niche and see who's their demographic, who's following them, what do they like, what do they not like. That's something that's cool about like Facebook ads. It actually like gives you demographics to try out and test, so it's cool.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of, I feel like that also reels in the fact that as long as you're posting, like, because there's not really a time frame. Like if we go back to like the giving up factor of it, if you're enjoying what you're posting, realistically, it shouldn't matter how long you post for, even if you don't get any views. If you're enjoying doing that, you'll probably find your niche eventually.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll have a fan base, over a certain period of time. But as long as you're enjoying your time doing this content and creating this content, there's never really a time that you should give up. And trying to use metrics as a factor to decide if you should keep going shouldn't be something, because like overall, if you do enjoy making videos, even if it's for 10 views, that's still 10 views. Like,
it's completely different when you put it in a personal brand versus like a business. Because like I would completely say that, yes, 100%, just keep posting, keep doing your stuff. But as a business, like without conversion, without sales, they can't stay open. So, like that's the same correlation to a personal brand. So with businesses, it's obviously a lot harder. And that's why when it comes to a business, I recommend doing the ads. If you're more of a personal brand and you're just trying to get awareness, sure, go ahead. But ads are definitely going to help you from a business standpoint. So for instance, you're selling coaching programs or whatever, you're still selling something. So that would make sense to have an ad. But if you're just kind of, producing your content, you can't really be like, oh, I should have a lot of followers,
That makes sense.
I have to pee so bad.
So, okay, so to wrap it up, one, I definitely appreciate you coming on and spending the time with us today. What further projects are, I guess actually, what are your goals going forward with social media? Like numbers wise,
personally?
I guess, if you want to say it, like I don't know.
Personally. Numbers wise. So what I would like to do for my personal brand, since I said I'm not selling anything yet, again, I have a story, type 1 diabetic from COVID, all that stuff. My experience is what I want to teach. So the thing that my next goal would obviously be to figure out what I can give to other people to actually make their lives better, which is kind of my thing where I want to do my TED Talk. So I'm kind of in the middle right now of being like a businesswoman and enjoying my 22-year-old life and doing all that stuff. But when it comes to social media, I really just want to be my authentic self, post what I enjoy posting, and roll with it. Because, I mean, I have all the tools as a marketing manager, as someone who graduated in business communications. I have all the tools that I technically would need, you know, if I want to go viral. But my concept isn't really going viral. It's more so like enjoying what I'm doing and continuing it. And then if anything, I'll open a coffee shop. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Tyler, do you have any other questions?
My closing question for you, Caitlin. When are we going to see Growing Pains?
It's right here. This is the background. So, yeah, my podcast
this is the start.
will be here shortly. I don't have an update or a time span or an ETA at the moment. But stay tuned. I know you're very excited. Here's a little sneak peek of the background. There we go. Thanks for the question.
But it is still in the works?
Awesome.
I haven't worked on it in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, eventually.
Maybe.
One day or
I'm
day
just
one.
Eventually.
I'm a busy person, you know, marketing.
Well, yeah. Thank you for your time,
Awesome.
Caitlin.
Calip, thank you. Where can everybody find you on your socials?
Oh, my social media is just my first name and the same last name as my brother. So it's CAITLIN. Don't spell it any different. Calip. CALIP as in Paul.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me.